So to start off, could you introduce yourselves and what you do?
Yeah, I'm Officer Davila. I'm a CHP officer, and right now I'm a community outreach officer.
All right. Next question. What drew you into this field and how did you start to enter initially?
I was in college at UCLA, and I didn't really find anything that I liked to do, and I ended up running into a recruitment, like a recruitment RV that LAPD had, and it just sparked the interest in law enforcement, and that's where kind of all started.
Awesome. Oh, did you want to answer as well?
Oh, I didn't know if you wanted both of us answering or not.
Sure. The more the merrier.
All right. Hi, my name's Officer Erica Tatum. I'm also a community outreach officer with Officer Davila. I'm here for the Bay Area. What sparked my interest, it was actually taking a criminal justice course at Sac State. So my major was biology. And I took a couple classes just to try something different. And the classes were so interesting compared to what I was actually studying that I actually ended up switching my major and majored in criminal justice and knew I wanted to go into the field of law enforcement.
Okay, wow, that's incredible. How would you recommend someone to start to enter this career, like certain mindsets or skills they should have and job training?
There's no real job training that you need. You do need the mindset of knowing that you're going to be in law enforcement. Obviously, you may not be liked as an officer, even though they don't know you as a person. So the mindset is more important than anything else. I would say that you need to do some research and find out what this job's about, and know that you're getting into a field that you get paid for what you may have to do and not what you're actually doing. You know, that you may actually have to use a gun or use force on someone else, even though it's the chances of you actually, using your gun or anything like that are very small. You just have to know that in the back of your mind that you may have to one day.
And I'd also recommend just being physically fit. You know, it helps to start by working out. I mean, we're not asking you to go run marathons or anything like that, but maintaining a good fitness, as well as, we don't require a college degree to become a CHP officer, but doing well in school does help because we do write reports a lot. And so, like Officer Davila said, a lot of research on what you want to do, because this job isn't for everyone, but it's an exciting career. So if you decide to pursue it, I mean, it is very rewarding at the same time.
That's awesome. So how many hours a week do you generally work, and how many hours a week do people with this career generally work?
I work, I would say between 40 to 45 hours a week. Our typical week as an officer is roughly about the 40-hour week, but some area offices may have you work 10-hour shifts. So you work 4 days, 10 hours, 40 hours. You work 5 days, 8 hours, 40 hours, or you work a 12-hour shift. So you're working 3 days one week, 3 days or 4 days the next week. So roughly about 40 hours, just like any other job. However, you may be subject to, staying after shift as a result of a big incident, a big collision, or an arrest that you have to then, finish. But I would average about 40 to 45 hours right now.
All right. So could you explain what a typical work day or work week kind of looks like?
Yeah, so I won't explain mine because mine is very, specific to my position, and it's not a common thing. But someone who works patrol, someone that patrols the freeways or takes calls on a regular basis, what most of our officers do is going to be coming in to work, getting changed out, putting on the uniform, the belt, our vest and everything else, and then going to briefing. And briefing is usually about 30 minutes. Briefing is where all the officers get together with a supervisor, a sergeant, and we go over, some things that we all need to know, some training, basic stuff, and then we all pick an area of responsibility or a beat. A beat is an area that you're responsible for that day, for those 8 hours. And then you get in your patrol car, you get your patrol car ready, make sure all your rifles, shotgun, flares, cones, everything's in the car that you need to be able to do your job. Then you drive out and you sweep your beat, which is meaning you go around the beat and make sure that there isn't anyone that needs any assistance that you don't have calls on. And then you just basically listen to the radio and make sure that you're responsible for any calls that come out on your beat. And you may get calls on traffic collisions, you may get calls on someone trying to commit suicide. You may get a call of someone that's stranded that needs a new battery or a tire, and then you enforce the laws that you've trained to enforce. So speeding or anything like that. And then when you're finished, you go back to your office and you put that car back and you change out and you go home. I don't know if you want to add anything, Erica.
And our bread and butter for the Highway Patrol is DUI. So a lot of times when people see somebody driving erratically or who might be impaired of some sort, we get those calls on the freeway. So any crimes that are committed on the freeway, CHP handles those calls. So it could be anything. It could be domestic violence. But our bread and butter is DUI. So, working graveyards, you could get a couple DUI arrests a night, just kind of depending on the night. And so that's where the hours can also vary, because if you get a late DUI, you have to stay there, you're clearing, you have to book them into jail, and then getting your report ready to write. And so getting all your paperwork done can kind of keep you a little bit afterwards, depending on when you made the arrest. But he pretty much got everything that we do in our typical day.
All right, great. So I know you mentioned earlier that this isn't a career that typically needs a college degree, but I was going to ask, what educational background do people in this career usually have, generally?
Okay, so we have a couple minimum qualifications that you need to have in order to be a CHP officer, and one is a high school diploma or a GED equivalent, to be at least 20 years old when you apply, 21 years old by the time you graduate, U.S. citizen, and no felony convictions. So a lot of us have, or I have a college degree. A lot of people do have some college, but not everybody has college. But the thing we always tell people is it doesn't take a genius to do this job, but you just have to make sure that you are very accurate in what you are doing, that you work hard to be a good officer. So by taking the English classes to help with report writing will help you in your career in the long run.
We've had most of applicants obviously just have that high school diploma, or some college, an AA or a bachelor's. But we have people in this this field that have masters and doctorates, and people who were lawyers before, or teachers and professors that have made a change in their career. So we have people that have a variation of different certificates or degrees, but the minimum is that high school diploma, GED.
Got it. So could you both go over some of your least favorite aspects and favorite aspects of your job?
No.
My least favorite would be having not knowing if I'm going to be able to go home at the end of the shift, or my scheduled time off. 99% of the time, you're going to go home when you're supposed to, but there's always that question mark. My wife's like, hey, we're going to be going to dinner, or are we going to be doing something, are you going to get home in time? And I was like, I don't know. I won't know until the end of the shift, just because if something comes out and it's my responsibility, I'm stuck there until either I clean it up or finish it, or until someone relieves me. So that's probably my least favorite. And my favorite part of the job is that every day is a little different. I'm always going to interact with different people. I never know what's going to come across my radio and what I'm going to end up, having to respond to. Being at the places where when you drive by, you're wondering what's happening. I know what's happening. I'm there. So it's kind of cool that, you always drive by like, I wonder what's going on. Well, I have pretty much all the inside info. And the last thing, or there's a lot of favorite parts of my job, but another thing is vacation. We get quite a bit of vacation because this is a very stressful job. I usually take off 2 to 2 to 4 months off a year, depending on how much I work that year. So I'm able to take a lot of vacation and travel quite a bit.
So for myself, I would say prior to getting into this position, when I was working the road, kind of similar to what Officer Davila was saying, is being new in an area office, you kind of have the junior beats. So having to work Christmas and Thanksgiving and New Year's and not being able to spend that time with my family does kind of stink, because you're missing out spending time with your loved ones and everything. But you have to think about it in a bigger picture, and you're doing something for a greater cause. You're helping people out that need help. And that kind of goes into the good things. Being, just like Officer Davila said again, is being able to help people. We get specialized training as well. So being a car seat tech, which both of us are car seat technicians, helping people, helping new parents who are excited about bringing, a new life into this world, and making sure that their child is safe. It is rewarding, because you get to talk about all the excitement of having a new kid, or them graduating into a new type of a car seat, and seeing the kids, giving them stickers, going to community events where they get to see us one-on-one and interact with us. It's a lot of fun. And just kind of taking on the road part of it, going to different scenes and just getting challenged kind of in a way on how to write up a different kind of report, whether it's, a traffic collision, something where, there's multiple vehicles involved, and you're getting different stories from people, and you're trying to piece everything together. And it's kind of figuring out the whole story by just the evidence, even though people's interpretation of what happened is going to be different. So it's challenging, and it's kind of fun in that aspect.
Awesome. So how has working in highway patrol, how has it changed you as a person?
Well, as an officer, you get to see a lot of different situations and people. So when you're not an officer, you're keen to certain things. You may see something that, and I'll notice something that my wife won't, just because, she doesn't deal with it on a regular basis. So it just makes you a little more vigilant at all times. You're not in uniform, but you're always noticing things that, are kind of out of place. But it also makes you a person who's a little more assertive or confident, because you're dealing in a situation where you're the person everyone's looking for answers to. So even when I'm not working, I'm definitely someone that's more confident. I have no issue talking to anyone, or because I do it for work. So I would think those are the biggest things for me.
Yeah, being aware, like you said, off duty. I have 2 little kids, so just scanning the scene when you get somewhere new, and seeing possible dangers, or looking for escape routes just in case something happens. You're always prepared mentally for something, and I think that is something that our training helps us with in the academy, is preparing for different kind of situations and obstacles that we might face.
And is this career one that you would consider a stable career? And could someone expect to hold this job for many years without worry?
Yeah, so I think the pandemic's a perfect example of how stable this career is. In other careers, obviously, there's some careers that, people were having issues, maintaining a job just because things shut down. When it comes to law enforcement, there's always going to be a need for it. So it's very stable. We're working 365 days, 24/7. So there's always going to be a need for us. As long as there's someone dialing 911 or someone driving on the road, we're going to be needed. When it comes to, do you have to worry about, getting paid, or the job being here? Absolutely not. We're a government or a public employee, and the money that we get is coming from, people paying their taxes or people paying their registration. So we're definitely going to be receiving a paycheck, and and the job's going to be here if you want to work it. So there isn't a worry at all for me when it comes to that.
Said it perfectly.
Okay, then let's wrap it up. And I wanted to ask if there's any other pieces of advice or general comments you'd like to share for those that may be interested in pursuing this career path.
Go first. So uh, there's people out there that are gonna, that know exactly what they want to do, and there's some people who don't. I was one of the ones that didn't. Um, the good thing about this job is this job is available to anyone who's a good person and who's okay at school. So you could be really smart, you could just be like, an average student, as long as you're able to, have a clean background, and you know how to write a report, and you know how to follow instructions, and you know how to be a good person, you could be an officer. The good thing about this job is that it requires, just a high school diploma, and the more education you have, the more money you make. But there isn't many, careers out there that you can come out of high school and be 21 years old or older, and be able to make, $100,000 on your first year working the job. It's obviously a very demanding job, and it's not for everyone. But a job like this can be done by anyone who wants to do it. As long as you're a good person, it'll always be here for you.
Yes. So we always tell people, just think about, what could come up in your background. So if you think law enforcement is a career you want to pursue, we do very extensive backgrounds. So, I mean, any drug uses or, any illegal activities that people participate in, we're looking into that. And so we want to make sure that our officers are good people and are going to make good decisions out there. So we are looking for people who can do that, who can make good decisions. And we know people make mistakes, and as long as you're learning from your mistakes, that's the huge thing. It's not reoccurring mistakes. So whether that's a traffic ticket or just doing something stupid that you didn't really think was going to get you in trouble but did, as long as you learn from it and don't repeat those things, those are the kind of people we're looking for.
All right, well, thank you so much. Both of you gave really thorough and interesting responses, and I'm sure there's many high schoolers that could probably benefit from watching this, especially those who are still figuring out their career paths like me. So thank you so much for your time. That's the end of the interview.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Bye. Thank you.
All right.